Hey, Barry.
Yeah,
All right.
well, I'm tired and logy. I slept very poorly last night. I'm not feeling too well, so I'm kind of tired and logy today.
Hey, if you want to bag this, that's okay with me too. I also did not sleep very well last night.
Well, see who else shows up, but I'm just not functioning well at the moment.
Are you okay?
Well, I'm not. I mean, I got a runny nose, which I think I developed overnight. Slept poorly. Here's Heiner. Had an upset stomach, and
Heiner, you're on mute, by the way. So is this recent, Barry? You ate something or you just went out and exposed yourself to something or what?
well, Thursday was Toastmasters, which was meeting in person. I might have picked it up there. And then last night was D&D, and I always end up sleeping poorly after D&D, either because of too much food or too much of the wrong kind of food, or what, I don't really know what.
You're carousing too much, Barry. You're living the big social life.
Really.
Barry, I told you, you have to come fast to Berlin. Time is running out.
May already have run out.
We did with the Dalai Lama in the late 90s a project for the Himalaya, which was Time is Running Out. The main title was The High Plateau, as there was a project on the green heart of Holland, the Netherlands, to make communities, intentional communities, regional communities that have cohesions and connectedness, and not like what I said last time. I think our Western societies, not just the Americans, they are all convenient societies. All these marketing economics gurus told us convenience, 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 but convenience is bullshit. Like Silicon Valley was just very much centered on ego, on first come, first solve, and feasibility. No, anyway, I just wanted to say I have this time half an hour. Tomorrow is my birthday, and we have all day major events on 30 years Delphi Games. Not Olympic Games, but Delphi Games. And in 2028, we are now proposing that between the Olympic and Paralympic Games, we have this Delphi Games. And Delphi Games are games for the arts, the fine arts, the constructive arts, the performative arts, the polyclete, like the sculptor, not just the painter, is much more than the polymath. And to bringing all this exact and fine arts together, we have the 30 years anniversary tomorrow. Can you believe it? Where the Berlin Wall came down, we had the round tables, runde Tische, we say. And in that place where it was started 30 years ago, I'm helping with a major event. So, and after that, my birthday. So I have 12 days straight things and now many hours to prepare and two other events. So you see, I'm old and I'm running, and my friend or long time, 30 years girlfriend, Farah, she's very ill, but she's not even coming as a Zeitzeuge, time witness, because she has to care for her mother, which is mid 90s now. So you see, it is all a matter of how you see your positions, your perspectives, your framings. And I think it's getting more and more and more relevant. And I just will say in the opening tomorrow, um, wo Gefahr wächst, wächst das Rettende auch. Can you translate, please? Dark ground or good?
That I couldn't understand.
Hölderlin, the poet. You heard about Hölderlin? No?
No, unfortunately not.
So Hölderlin made a poem which said, wo Gefahr wächst, wächst das Rettende auch. Where there is dooming danger or challenges, there is also the saving, the survival, the positive result to challenges growing at the same time. So they looked into the dukkha and the sukha, they looked into poetry, and that is our salon work or governance and encounter issues. And again, I didn't sleep last night. I just had red wine. I just wanted to tell you I'm still around. I'm very happy that this is continuing here. And as I last said to Sam, we have much more borders in Europe than you between Mexico and Canada. I tell you. And you see the coastline with all these islands. We cannot build walls around all these little places. So I think we have to see also the people in our country or in Europe are very narrow. They easily get alienated and then they start to fight or elbow. And I really like this open discussion. Sometimes I wonder if it should be public and next day on YouTube, especially when you know who is buying YouTube. I know the founders of YouTube. The main thinker was a lady, but now maybe they do an unfriendly takeover. And
Wait,
then,
who's buying YouTube? I thought Google owns YouTube.
yes, but there is rumors that it is an unfriendly takeover in the making.
Hostile takeover of YouTube. I didn't see that headline.
Okay, let's put that aside. Sorry, I interrupted
No,
you.
that's rumors that Elon Musk is buying it. And he made an unfriendly offer. All the others can't refuse. Anyway, that is a rumor we hear, but we are far away from Silicon Valley.
Well, my problem with YouTube is that they've amped up the ads. They've doubled or tripled the rate of ads, and it's almost impossible.
Well, you have to buy a ticket. Gated communities, paywalls. But I'm not talking about me or you. I'm talking about what's happening in the brokers in some of these markets, digital markets of the world, not only in London, when there is an unfriendly takeover of trying to hijack, for example, YouTube.
Well, the social networks have been going to hell in a handbasket since they were founded.
Heiner, you were in the middle of saying that
Dark gourd. What is a gourd? Dark gourd.
Barry might be able to explain it to you.
What does it say? Oh, your name.
He wrote something like, on the dark gourd, he's pissed off and leaves.
No, Dark Gourd is just a play on the Dark Lord. And it's not particularly significant at all. But my name is not always Sam.
But what is gourd? What does it come from? I'm always looking into the history of words.
Gourd is a vegetable.
Evil kings or
no, gourd is like a vegetable, like a zucchini or a yellow squash or a summer squash. There's other kinds as well.
Like a sausage?
Or... No. It's a vegetable, not human created. It's basically a rooted plant.
It's very large and green.
It can be. but not all of them.
In German, we say Gurke.
Which means
The Big and Little Dipper are
Green,
sometimes
long or small vegetable, very feasible for masturbation for women, but also very tasty.
Is that a cucumber or a zucchini?
Something like a cucumber. So you see in the Majlis with Harun al-Rashid in Baghdad,
Did you
in
actually
his
just say that,
harem,
Heiner?
this Gurke was not allowed.
Not allowed for what reason?
Well, the girls or whatever were lonely in the harem.
So, okay, not allowed by the obsessors, the
By
slave
the
owners.
Maharajas, the Harun al-Rashid, or whatever, Moguls, or whatever you call them.
now we have organic dildos, huh? Okay.
Yes, it's now you have it electronically with vibration, but those days it was really just living stuff.
Okay, so here's an opportunity for moderation, right? You were originally making a
No,
point.
I'm leaving. No
No, no, no,
moderation.
no, 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 no. As a moderator, you are not allowed to leave, okay? So the question is, you were in the middle of making a point about how these sessions you were contemplating should be public. And as public, then you might be able to, let's say, share them or have them immediately on YouTube the very next day. I think I heard that. By the way, I just realized I didn't do what I said I was going to do last week, which was share my note-taking screen. But anyway, I'll get there in a moment. So Heiner, then I interrupted you rudely about this YouTube rumor. So the question is, the point that you were trying to make about sharing these sessions and making them public, please continue because I don't think you finished that particular point.
No, I'm just, how do you say, dispersed all over the place. No, you really, I really want to see that we talk sincere and that our words are interpreted in context. And what I see with modern media, this context is easily not caught by large language models. And I'm with Paul, who was in the NSF, National Science Foundation, giving all the money on the funding of large language models, which then later got into AI or whatever, pattern matching between sounds and symbols and whatever, lights and signs and whatever other kind of technical or cultural expressions. No, I'm really concerned that our ways of automatic translation. It's a pity that our friend from the mountains, who is or was always with us here, has more news about it. We are very, very concerned. And this Paul, he's really one of the gurus, was also with us 2 years ago at my birthday and our events for my birthday last year when I was in Dubai, bringing futures and feasibilities and responsibilities and hope together, because the Germans had this principle of hope and principle of responsibility. So anyway, I'm rambling, I'm running, and I'm really concerned about your profession of being just using computers for being the masters of the patterns and not what's in between the patterns. And when we overlap patterns, like all this brain research now on alpha waves and beta waves, there's a wave club actually, a closed group, very, very interesting on brain research and cognition. Anyway, all this I could talk about one day. Here I'm just rambling on and have to rush out. But I really congratulate you. I was thinking, Sam, that you would call it a day for this enterprise, this group, and for America and the world. But it looks like, at least we three, if not a nice lady from LA is joining us, is really the S at the end. But to leave on a positive note, we just agreed on doing the Delphi Games between the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games in LA in 2028. So mark your calendar, your agenda. It's just 4 years to go. I can send you the message from the prince of whatever, wherever, who will do it as a greeting, celebratory note tomorrow at our 30th anniversary. And I'm just presenting it. I'm just telling there's another, how do you say, greeting or congratulation for the assembly. So
No,
it's always a
wait.
pleasure.
So how do I ask?
You
Is it
always
rude
try
to
to
say
catch me. No, I'm
wie
talking or leaving.
wie alt sind Sie?
Huh?
Wie alt sind Sie am Morgen?
What? I'm lost. I have no idea what people are saying.
My German is very bad. I'm just asking Heiner, how old is he? How old is he turning tomorrow?
Well, that's a tricky question.
No, it's not.
Normally,
Come on.
no,
You're beyond where it's
normally,
tricky.
no, normally I say I'm 17, but this is not true anymore. Today I'm 27,
Okay.
and tomorrow I'm turning 37.
Okay. 37. 30. Okay.
Nein,
Fröhliche
nein, nein,
Geburtstag.
73.
The inverse. Okay. Got it.
Always inverse.
So you're 5 years younger than Barry then, or 6 years.
Well, I'm 17 in my heart.
Yeah.
So enjoy and recover, Barry. We need you here in Berlin. I want you to visit me, and not like Sam going to Gießen or somewhere to the bushes.
Hey, I offered to visit you in Berlin and you changed plans on me at the last minute. Don't forget that.
Yes, I'm guilty always. No, I still regret. I still regret.
Which I would not have brought up except you brought that up. Okay.
But you are right. No, you are perfectly right. We should have moved the whole thing to Berlin. But normally I don't go to these parties, and I wait that the parties come to me. But in this case, it was only you and not the whole crowd of the GCCers.
It was
So
me.
let's have another birthday event in Zoom, maybe in 2 years, with Tammy, Harry, and all the forgotten aliens. And for the next days and weeks, it's so much going on in governance and peace. So our topic on culture and peace is very, very relevant. I typed this group, it's called Delphic.org in the chat. And then see you somewhere.
Hey, one last word of encouragement. I strongly encourage all countries other than the United States to really, really put the screws to this new administration if they actually take office. Sorry, excuse me. I really think this idiot, okay, and his other idiots that he's assembling just need to be called to the carpet. They just need to be spanked. They need to be run out of every country. And in certain countries where they observe international law, they should just arrest them, okay, and put them in jail. So I would very, very strongly encourage all outside the United States to do that. And
Let me
that's
just
my
end
last
with
word before.
saying they have enemies. And the Chinese say, make friends with the neighbors of your neighbors. And so they really did some really weird alliances. And this bothers me a lot. And I will really check out the dark gourd, but maybe we need a light gourd.
Okay. I'll finally let you go, Heiner. Thank you for staying.
Well, you have to be persistent. I think in English you say grit. You have to have a grit and not compromising, not being corruptible, to not allowing others to corrupt you.
There's too much
Good
of that
night and
going on
good
right
luck.
now. Okay. Hey, happy birthday tomorrow, Heiner. Okay, enjoy. Fröhliche Geburtstag. Is that it?
Ja, ja, bist schon nah dran, mein Lieber.
Ah. Anyway, hey, so Heiner is gone. Joss is here. All right, Barry. So just to be accountable and culpable, I did say I was going to prepare and set up a separate session and take notes and share the video from that notes. I actually tried getting it working. I was going to try using Moreau. I actually am not very happy with the usability of that product. So things that should take just milliseconds take way too long in Miro. And I haven't yet set myself up the virtual Docker container to run Axon, which is a tool that I really want. I have taken steps towards it, but I've not completed it yet. So I'm going to try and target that for next week rather than this week. But I'm just being transparent and accountable. Okay. You know, Barry, I got to tell you, since you work on so many iMacs, I have, in the last year and a half or three, collected about 4 or 5 iMacs, usually old ones, 25, 2015, 2014, 2013, etc. And my experience with them, the first thing to go, and this has happened on 2 of those machines now, is the video. Everything else seems to work fine, but the video starts getting these green stripes, these green vertical stripes, and that's the first thing to go on these iMacs. And I'm disappointed because otherwise they're great machines. I really like them. But sadly, I've seen 2 out of my 4 machines have this video problem.
Can you hook up
So I
an
was,
external monitor?
sorry, you seem far from your microphone, Barry.
Well,
Are
I'm
you?
just not talking very loud because I'm tired and logy. Can you
Okay.
hook up an external monitor to the lightning connector or whatever that connector is called?
Does this send video out on one of those? I'll have to check. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 of those, whatever you call those lightning connectors, and I got another little monitor off to the side, just a dinky little old small monitor as a second
Okay.
monitor. Hook up 3 monitors to these, at least to this model.
Okay, I'll try that. Because part of the reason I got these machines is because I love their displays.
You
So if
know,
I can't use the display and I'm just using the memory, the disk, the CPU, etc., it's like, yeah, I could get a much cheaper machine to do that.
you can also do remote, what's it called? Screen sharing from one machine to the other.
Yeah, SSH, yeah. You can do virtualization
It's
that way.
just built-in screen sharing, built into iMac, built
Yeah.
into Mac, built
Yeah, but
into.
like I said, I like their displays. That's why I got the hardware. It's not for the actual, compute itself.
I only have 2 iMacs. I have a lot of Macs, but only 2 of them are iMacs.
Hmm.
This one and the little one on the floor down here. This
Okay.
one's running. This one's running. Not Sonoma. What's the new one after Sonoma?
I don't know and I don't care because I run Linux on these machines.
So Redwood, uh, Sequoia, and
Sequoia is the newest one, right?
I'm running Sequoia and Monterey on my 2 iMacs.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I was just curious since you work on so many iMacs, it seems, you talk about them a lot. I was just curious to see if video was the most common failure mode for these machines.
I've never had an iMac. Well, I only had 2 iMacs, and they both have good video.
And they're from the 2013 vintage, you say?
This one's 2013. That one I think is 2008.
Hmm. Ah. Well, a long time ago, they used to actually believe in reliability and quality construction.
Machine is what, 12, 13 years old. It's running fine so far.
Hey, I had a Gateway machine I bought in 2006 that just died a few years ago.
It's the Intel Windows machines that are more of a problem. I've got a pretty late model Dell that somebody gave me, and the motherboard just died on it.
Yeah, but see, the thing with those, you can replace parts. So if you know
Yes,
what
I can
part
buy
the
a new
problem is,
motherboard for about $60.
yeah, cheap.
Yeah,
On a
except that
Mac, they don't let you do that. Not user maintainable, unfortunately. Which is quite counter to their initial philosophy, which was copying the IBM, right? Remember the Apple IIe and how you could actually plug boards into it?
well, I have a G5 machine that I've replaced the CPU in.
Wait, what kind of machine you said?
G5.
Oh, yeah, those are nice. They were kind of high end. Very, very few people bought those, I thought.
You know, I've got one still in service. I don't know how old that machine is. It's probably the late 90s, I think, the early 2000s. I think it's late 90s.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like either in this session or some other session experiment with using Jitsi because
Yeah, didn't we do that once, or maybe a year or two ago?
it was much longer than a year ago. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago we tried. And I just realized I don't use Zoom now for anything other than these sessions. And it's like about $200 a year. So I was
Well,
just curious to see
I
whether we
have the
could get,
I have the free version of Zoom, which means that,
you can
yeah,
attend, you can't host. Yeah,
no, I can host. The problem is that I only get 40
limited,
minutes.
right?
So what I do is I have multiple accounts, and the one thing that I host on Wednesdays, which is a bunch of alumni from both Atlantic and Newman, we use one account for the first 40 minutes, and when that time's up, we switch to my second account for the next 40 minutes because they don't
Can't
let
you
you
just restart on the first account? Doesn't
used
that
to.
work?
They used to let you do that, but then if you're a serial abuser of that feature, then they make you wait 10 minutes. So on my that first account is forced to wait 10 minutes. The second account I never do restart because that's the second segment. So no, we never have a
Right.
restart for the
Yeah,
second.
they should lift all those restrictions and constraints for retired people or people over 65 or whatever. It's just
Well,
stupid.
the
It's a
problem,
sick sign. It's a symptom of our capitalist, disease. That's all it
yeah,
is.
I'm not a big fan of our capitalistic economy. I'm I won't say I'm a harsh critic, but I'm certainly not a big fan. I'm too
Well, if
old
you
to
do
be.
the extrapolation, I think you would become a harsh critic. How can you not extrapolate and see the downfall?
It's too much work to be a harsh critic. I'm too lazy and too old to be a harsh critic. I would rather ridicule it gently and kind of without making a spectacle of myself because I'm too old to make a spectacle of myself.
Yeah. So anyway, after we end today, are you willing to take an extra 5 or 10 minutes if you and I just try Jitsi?
Well, you can try Jitsu if you want. I mean, I thought we did. I thought we tried it with Sam Chan. I thought it was Sam Chan, maybe somebody like 3 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's been a long time since then, and I just like to see where it is. Because if I can, just it's not about the money so much, but hey, if it's going to scale, then I'd like to support an operating open source. I mean,
If
an
you want
open
to drop,
source solution.
if you want to drop back to single user, you just have to do segments. You have to do a 40-minute segment, then take a station break, and then start a new segment on a different account. Which
So a
is,
lot of what happens here happens because of the flow, because of the continuity. And as you know, if you lose that, then you get a very different feel to these
Not ideal.
sessions.
It's just if you're chintzy and don't want to spend however much it takes to buy an account for one activity.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Or I just have to, hit a lucky strike in crypto, and then it doesn't matter.
$100,000 a pop now for Bitcoin.
Yep,
What they don't realize is that that's using a hell of a lot of electricity also.
absolutely. The mining of crypto, I think, at one time in a country or a particular region, utilized like 3% of its hydroelectric power. So it's not scalable, and people don't seem to make a big point about that anymore.
Sabina
There,
does. Nobody else does.
yeah. By the way, she's coming under fire also. I've seen some of these videos about people are speaking out against what Sabina is doing, and when she says the end of physics, then people get all up in arms about that as well.
Well, in a sense, she's right. The physics is sort of stalling out on a lot of fronts. I
But that
mean,
phenomenon has been happening for decades, right?
well,
No
century.
real progress.
It's
They
really
just
stalled
interpolate between various different papers and say, "Oh, I got a paper, so I can be published," but not really pushing boundaries.
out.
That's true on every field, by the way. So these PhDs, they come just simply because you pay your $100,000 or whatever, and you get somebody to be a good advisor slash mentor, and you go out and have coffee with them, and they grant you a PhD. If it doesn't really advance the state of knowledge, why? You know, it's just the academia game played for fiefs and serfdoms.
What's really stalling out is our governance models worldwide are failing right and left. France and Romania, there's some bunch of other countries, the governance models are just falling by the wayside.
South Korea,
South Korea, Turkey, France, I think Romania,
Argentina.
Argentina's basket case and get go. So a lot of South America's in trouble. And now US and Canada are
Yeah, we used to think we were smarter than that. Well, we're not.
no. And the thing is that we never were, but now people are beginning to appreciate it more, how short-sighted we are. I mean, who was it? Irving, who wrote The Headless Horseman? Was that Washington Irving wrote The Headless Horseman was a character in
Yeah.
one of his parables, and now we've got
Sleepy Hollow, right?
Sleepy Legend of Sleepy
Legend
Hollow.
of Sleepy Hollow.
Now we have the legend of hollowing out the government and the headless horseman running it.
He's not just headless. He's just so
The court.
full of brown dung.
Yeah.
Ay, ay,
That's
ay.
why I say he's a headless horseman. He's so coarse.
But see,
Cruel.
here's my question. Here's what I actually do not know. Is he really just stupid and just fell into this by luck, which I think is unlikely? Or was he just groomed to be the face and the powers that be are behind him and just pulling the strings, and he's just doing all these stupid things to distract us while other more important things are going on?
He's manipulable with money, and people who've got big money know how
Exactly.
to.
See, if you want to call me a conspiracy theorist, that conspiracy I actually do believe.
I think it's just a diagnosis of everybody has a flaw or a weakness or a vulnerability, and his is money for him. Money talks, and
Yeah, but the problem is the money's coming from Russia, it's coming from Egypt, it's coming from China, you know, and it's coming from Musk, and it's coming from other people, but it's coming from external sources as well. And he has made compromising decisions based on those influences.
the new watchword is money talks and nobody balks. BALKS.
Well, the people that balk have no power.
Well, that's just it. And I know that I have no political power. I've known that for my whole life. I couldn't even lobby my boss when I was in high tech companies. And I know that when it comes to political machinations, I'm basically invisible. And and nobody
All
pays
right.
attention.
So Barry, let me test another thing, which I thought I learned very young, but which I think right now is just full of bullshit. Quote, the pen is mightier than the sword, unquote.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I used to believe that, and it may still be true, but my pen isn't mightier than the sword. Maybe at one time, some things that I wrote, you know, you could argue that was true, but not at this stage of my life and this stage of our culture. Certainly not for me. It's not anymore. When the internet was new and there weren't a lot of people on it, I could command a big audience because there weren't very many people writing. Now everybody's writing crapola, and my stuff is totally lost in the noise. And I already said what I'm going to say anyway. There's no reason to say it again.
Actually,
Said
there is.
I
Okay.
said it. I said it very well the first time. I carefully wrote it up, and now when I try to recite it, I don't do as good a job as the original version that I published.
So I do think that in the long run, this might be true. In other words, you can't really kill good ideas.
Well, but
But
yeah,
in the
that's,
short term, the people that hold those good ideas can definitely be killed
oh
by the
yeah.
sword.
Well,
Okay.
look at Socrates. I mean, his good idea survives him. Galileo's good idea survives him. Uh, the good ideas will survive their originator, and they probably won't come to fruition until after the originator is long gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It takes time. And it also means that whatever expression of that good idea has to survive, either in a student or disciple or a written word or whatever. Okay. But if those are destroyed, like say, for example, in the quote unquote cultural revolution in China, or the burning of the Library of Alexandria, or who knows how many other events we've suffered and don't even know about. You know, if that happens, then of course those ideas can't survive.
Well, I know that
So
the ideas that I put forth will survive, or they'll be rediscovered either way. Either my version will survive, or somebody who's got a bigger audience than me will rediscover them independently.
yeah.
Um, and so they'll get back out there again. I've discovered stuff at Bell Laboratories where an old timer says, I've seen that before. Go down and look at the 1955 version of the Bell System Technical Journal, and you'll see the vice president of AT&T Long Lines wrote the same idea, but in different mathematical formulation. And sure enough, it was there. And I had to study it to tell that mathematically it was identical, but totally different notation. So it took me a couple of days to realize that I had rediscovered what was published in 1955.
Yep. See, that's the other thing about IP that is unfortunate, given that it has to live inside this capitalist system, right? See, if you've got progress on, let's say, all fronts of knowledge, and the natural exploration is to take this idea and that idea and try and see if they can merge into some brand new third idea. And that's happening all over the place on the frontiers, the envelope, the outer membrane of our knowledge base. And so whether it's you or whether it's me or whether it's somebody else down the street or somebody else down, in China or whatever, in this particular time where these ideas exist, sooner or later, that merge, that third construction is going to happen.
And
Now,
I
you
would,
got N different people working on this. Should only one of them be credited with that idea? In this society, we do. We grant copyrights, we grant patents, we grant exclusive rights. But you could arguably say because it's in the times, it was inevitable. So why should one person then run away with all the billions and trillions? That's just the way society wants to set it up right now. It's not for the common good. It's just to, I guess, reward first mover advantage, which I think is toxic. Because first mover then means, well, I got to monetize this without looking at the secondary and tertiary and quaternary effects of it. As in, what's the possible downside? Who are going to be victims of this? What's the social implications? What does it do to our health? What does it do to our children? Blah, 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 blah. If you don't take the time to ask those questions and all you're worried about is monetizing the first order idea, obviously you create something toxic because you're not considering those issues. And that's what capitalism mandates. And that's what's sick. And that's what doesn't work about capitalism.
Yeah, and I'm not a capitalist. I mean, I worked for a capitalist company. I worked for AT&T, the Bell system, which is capitalist, but it was also a regulated monopoly. It was a natural monopoly and it was regulated. So it wasn't quite the classical capitalist where, it had a monopoly that was unrestrained. It was a highly restrained monopoly and limited to operate in the public interest, convenience, and necessity. For example, AT&T couldn't make vacuum cleaners. I mean, Western Electric made sound movie projectors and sound movie theaters for a while, but then they had to get out of that business.
Then maybe you could give me other insight. GE arguably makes or made pretty much everything under the sun.
Yep.
Let's say 2 or 3 decades ago, right?
Yep.
So they obviously weren't constrained by these laws about monopolies.
Oh, but because they weren't a monopoly, they were very diverse. They made locomotives and all kinds of
They made
stuff.
nuclear submarines, they made light bulbs, all over the place.
But they were not. They did not have a monopoly lock on that market. They were the biggest, or one of the biggest, and one of the most productive. But they also said progress is our most important product. And they were, that was sort of true of Bell Laboratories too. So, and then what was it? Did RCA buy GE? I can't remember how it went. Or did GE buy RCA? Something like, somehow or other, I think there was a merger between RCA and GE of some sort. I could be mistaken about that. When NBC and RCA, well, NBC always was RCA. NBC was
Wait. Qingdao Haier, a Chinese household goods manufacturer, purchased GE appliances, sorry. Those GE appliances, that's not all
not
GE.
not the locomotives and not the
right,
dynamos for the power grid and all that stuff.
I actually did not know that. Oh, Comcast bought GE's, in NBC, sorry. Let's see. It's a lot of bits and pieces that got sold off in fire sales, it looks like.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really
Haier, Comcast, which itself is owned by who? Somebody owns Comcast. No, Comcast owns Disney. I got it the other way around.
I don't think Comcast owns Disney. I think they're separate. I think Comcast bought NBC or something like that.
NBC, sorry. Oh, it tried to acquire Disney, but it didn't actually go through. I didn't know Disney owns ABC.
Yeah, ABC, Disney, that's right. The three big networks all kind of, who ended up with, Paramount and CBS got together, NBC and Comcast, ABC and Disney. I don't know. I mean, RCA was a big outfit.
At one time,
Okay.
it and Zenith and GE were the last few.
Pennsylvania,
yeah, Sylvania, geez. And Westinghouse.
Yeah, Westinghouse and Edison were rivals.
All those names are long gone now.
Well, the name. I mean, the names are still there. It's just I mean, Thomas Edison's name is well known. Was it George Westinghouse? I can't remember his first name. People sort of lost them. It's like Sears Roebuck. Like who were Sears and who was Roebuck? And Sears is gone. Well, there's like 3 stores left, I think.
Well, yeah, the name's still there, but yeah, it's largely gone. I mean, look, they do it to themselves. Even when I was just beginning to work in the 80s, some of my colleagues had worked previously for Westinghouse, which was just not very far away. And they just hated the culture there. I mean, Westinghouse, that particular division was run by people who at 8 o'clock in the morning, those managers would stand up and look over the cubicles and just figure out and count the number of cubicles where there wasn't somebody sitting at that desk. That was their management style.
Bean counters. Well, Boeing kind of ended up with the wrong
What kind of culture do you think you're going to create by that? You know, you're fostering some kind of efficiency, but you're not fostering true creativity, true effectiveness. And you're certainly also communicating a kind of a class hierarchy there as well. I don't know why people just can't think with common sense. And you know what? Common sense is definitely eroded in a capitalist society. Because common sense regarding quality or about health or about the benefits completely go away when the only priority is profit. We know this, but it just manifests in so many areas.
Objectively or empirically, the three values that are most prominent in our culture are sex, power, and money.
And people want to use sex and money in order to get power.
Well, if you look at what people pursue, not what they say they value, but what they do, they pursue sex, power, and money as the first three dominant, objectively, empirically observable values.
Any two of those three can get you the third. So all you really need is two of them. Seems.
And those of us who put something else above sex, power, and money, we don't do very well. I mean, we work in a little niche.
Yeah. And if you're a true capitalist, you'd say that's the way it is, right? You can actually do the same thing yourself. You can go after any of those three. But the problem is in the long term, where would society be if we didn't have the people that just wanted to create, to explore boundaries of knowledge, to engineer, to actually build systems that work? You know, where would we be?
In the Middle Ages.
We're about to be there again.
The Dark Ages.
That's why I am the dark gourd.
Yeah, I'm not too sanguine myself. But all I know is that it's going to be a rough 4 years, and I may or may not still be alive at the end of these 4 years. Probably will.
Well, like I said before, I'm very likely to not be in the US.
I'm too old to emigrate.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
My parents are 92 and they just moved from the US to Taiwan. And they're way, way happier there now.
Parents are from a different culture and activity level. I'm too damn 70.
You are also from a different culture. You have a heritage from the Ukraine, you know?
Yeah, well, Eastern Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
Lithuania, Germany, and Ukraine.
Heck, you could emigrate to Utah again.
Well, that's more.
Sorry, Nebraska. Sorry.
Nebraska,
I forgot.
I think Nebraska's a red state. I mean, the rest of, except for Omaha. Omaha's a.
Well, you came from Omaha. Lived down the street from Warren.
Nothing, yeah. He's older than I am.
His buddy Charlie just died not too long ago. He was in his 90s.
Who's Charlie?
Charlie Munger.
I don't know that.
His partner at his investment company.
Oh, the shirt company.
Berkshire Hathaway, yeah.
Hathaway was the shirt company. I don't know what Berkshire was, but
they make money. They're a holding company. They're an investment company. They make money.
I have a cousin who works for the Berkshire Hathaway real estate division in Omaha.
Yeah.
I think she's
When I bought the my house how many years ago? 7 years ago? 8 years ago? 7 years ago? No. 4, 5, 3. I don't know. I forget. Anyway, I used a guy from Berkshire Hathaway Realty also.
Yeah, actually, she's a cousin-in-law because the connection is through marriage of my aunt's husband's side.
Mm-hmm.
So she's cousin by marriage, not a blood cousin. That's one nice thing about the Genie family tree sites. You can figure out how people are related. I got people that, I knew that they were mishpacha. I had no idea how they were related until the family tree finally sorted it all out.
Sorry, I wandered away thinking about intergenerational relationships. You were talking about family trees. I was talking about multi-generational households and networks and bonds and how that used to be strong. And I think it's eroding.
Yeah. Well, I'm very concerned that human culture is eroding, and a lot of scientists think that human civilization maybe has a few hundred years at best before it collapses. And I think it's going to collapse because our governance models are so obsolescent and anachronistic, and not enough people can see how to upgrade to the next paradigm after the rule of law. But the rule of law is pretty clearly failing, which is not a surprise if you do the math.
So I mentioned, or have you heard of this book called The Watchman's Rattle? I think that's what it's called.
No. I'm pretty illiterate if you haven't already noticed.
The premise of the book is all previous great societies, quote unquote, failed.
Yeah.
And they failed for the same reason.
They weren't sustainable.
They couldn't handle their complexity.
I mean, like I was playing D&D last night, and I was saying to the guy who was running the dungeon, I said, I'm aging out of this game. I can't keep all the details of the game state and characters in my head. And when it's time to take a move, I can't process the amount of information I need to process to decide what's the next move. I'm aging out of this game. I said, I don't have the brain power to reckon what's happening. It's like I'm riding shotgun, but my shotgun isn't even loaded. And if it was, I wouldn't know who to shoot at.
And the crosshairs are like 86 point. And there's a gazillion of them.
When you have an encounter, I don't know if we should negotiate, shoot first and ask questions later. And everybody else wants to shoot first and never ask questions. And I'm the only one who thinks, is there a way to resolve this without a physical battle? And although the answer may well be yes, that's never the group decision. Which is one of the reasons I think I'm aging out of this game, because for me the melee battles are the least interesting or desirable aspect of the game. But there are people who just have the bloodlust. They love these battles and clobber the monsters. Don't redeem anybody. Don't avoid the battle.
See, that's another thing that's lost. If you lose intergenerational wisdom, you don't have the elders cautioning, guiding, creating the guardrails, pushing gently in the right direction. You just have
just nobody listens to them.
Unexpurgated chaos. Because people always think, I got to win for myself. I got to do it myself. Nobody else matters. Fuck them. That's the thinking that we foster.
And if you think that winning is everything, then you end up with lose-lose. Everybody shoots everybody else. It's a round robin shootout.
But for a very brief moment, you might convince yourself that you're a winner. Very brief moment.
Was the OK Corral the classical movie of Everybody Dies?
Isn't that the classic shootout?
It's a classic Western shootout. I don't remember how it ended.
Wyatt Earp.
Could be. Is that the one where he died and Doc
Doc Holliday?
Doc Holliday? I
No.
don't. I mean, here's the problem: is I never studied the liberal arts, so I never really got deep into these classical stories. But I think the show, the OK Corral, was an example where it was just a stupid bloodbath.
Okay, so let's see who died there.
What's
Billy
the
Clanton, Tom McLaury, Frank McLaury, Earps, and Doc Holliday were on the side of the law. The men killed were members of a group of outlaws known as the Cowboys. Earps and Holliday were wounded. Okay, so it looks like the lawmen prevailed over the McLaurys and Clanton. Shot in the chest and right arm, shot and killed by Doc Holliday, shotgun, shot in the stomach by Doc Holliday, killed with a shot to the head. Blah, 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 blah.
that based on a true story, or is that just a fictive?
No, I read about it a long time ago. It's definitely been made into many movies, but I definitely thought it was definitely
The
historical.
movie is true to the history.
That's what they claim.
Okay.
October 26, 1881, Tombstone, Arizona.
Well, the fact that the city is called Tombstone tells you a lot about the outcome of a lot of the fights there.
You can tell about the culture.
Place names actually have a lot of story hidden in the
Yeah,
place.
history. Exactly. Exactly.
Chagrin Falls.
Or street names, like Old Gallows Road, Cemetery Street, you know.
Well, around here, there's a Church Street in every town. Milk Street, Boston has Milk Street, Church Street.
Yeah, just like every town has a Market Street.
Yeah.
Every town has a front street if they're near some body of water.
The name of the street where I live is named after a settler, colonial settler, who was granted this parcel of land by the King of England. And it's called, and the settler's name was Mitchell, so I live on Mitchell Grant Way. And the grant was that the King of England granted the Mitchell family this parcel of land, and they farmed it for a couple centuries before they got off and whatever happened to the Mitchells.
Yeah, history and terrain and geography have a lot to do with the way things look. And if you just arrive and don't know anything about it, you could be puzzled. But if you look into the history, a lot of things make sense. Even have you ever been in Seattle? Have you seen the streets and how they're laid out in Seattle?
I've been to Seattle, but I don't remember studying the layout of the streets.
There's a whole bunch of streets that are just diagonal, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that are perfectly north, south, east, west. Okay, and there's a bunch of history there about exactly how that happened. It's about the first three people that got land grants, and how they divvied up the land and how they wanted to, provide access to the loggers to get down to the water, and who took risks and who didn't take risks, and the person that was clean living and person who was not clean living, and that's where all the red light districts are. There's a lot of history there.
There's a poem called The Cow Path. And you can look it up. It's a wonderful little poem. It starts out with the cow path and it evolves to become eventually an interstate highway. But it's a story of how this cow path, goes through stages down through the decades and ends up being interstate. Look up the cow path poem.
Cow path. I assume it's a story about how certain areas develop because a bunch of how cows has to get to the butcher shop.
Well, I mean, the idea was that, the cows just being beasts, made a path, and then people used the path because there's already a path through the pasture, and then when they had carts, the carts used it, and then they paved it, and basically it became a thoroughfare. But the poem does a very nice job of laying out this progression. Garrison, was it Garrison Keeler? Was he the guy who did Prairie Home Companion?
Yes.
He also did a poem of the day or poem of the week bit, and he did the Cowpath one time, and it was one of his better ones. So if you look up Garrison Keeler uh, poem, whatever his that segment was called, the Cowpath. I don't know if it may not still be on the internet, but he did it. This is where he did them on the radio. So he had also a web page, and then he would read the poem. And I
Yeah,
think
those are entertaining shows. Did he write or did he read his sort of uh, his detective series? I forget what it was called.
Guy Noir.
Exactly, exactly.
I think those were scripted in advance because he had somebody playing the characters. And I think he was the narrator, and then he had two or three people.
Yeah, he was the storyteller, and he would have certain guests, voice certain parts, and they would all be just like extremely stereotypical, but still entertaining. All the standard tropes. Woman comes into his office late at night, no money, speaking in a sultry voice.
Give me a minute. Hang on a second.
Okay, let's take a quick break. I'll go refresh my coffee as well.
Recording in progress.
Testing. Oh, there's an echo.
And you're on twice.
I was trying to see if I could do that, but I'll drop here.
Gemini says it's called the calf path, not the cow path.
Ah, okay.
Sam Walter Foss. I'll have to see. It could have been the calf path. I always remembered it as the cow path.
Okay. I'll have to get back to the table. I was trying to see if I could relax on the couch.
I have now upchucked, I think, 5 times since 6 a.m. today. And
Whoa.
it's liquid. I only drank coffee. I haven't had any breakfast. I only drank coffee. Now the coffee just got upchucked. I think I have a stomach bug or something because I keep upchucking just plain liquid.
Do you want to head back to bed? Shall we call it a day?
I tried that. I thought used to be that if I ate too much and I upchucked, I could then fall asleep. Didn't happen this time.
What about something soothing, like, do you make yourself tea with honey?
Well, no, I don't think I have any honey. But I did have a cup of coffee and that, and I didn't even keep that down. So,
But see, that's acidic on your stomach. The honey at least will, coat your stomach lining and provide some soothing.
unfortunately, I don't have any honey in the cupboard. I do have tea, but
Always have honey. It's magical. You should do it. Especially, if you get in like burns, you can put honey on it. There's a lot of reasons honey is good for you.
one of the problems with living alone is you don't have a partner in the house who sort of knows all this kind of how to take care of people when they're out of sorts. And so, and I don't always do a very good job of self-care when I'm out of sorts.
Well, I think AI could help out there. That's one of the things that AI could be helpful for.
Well, you accept it, but AI isn't going to make me it's not going to go to the store and
It's not going to make you your tea today, but maybe it could suggest a few things like.
it can suggest things where I don't have the time,
Well, I
energy,
could say
or to.
try some yogurt. Do you have any yogurt? Ice cream?
I have ice cream, but not yogurt.
Ice cream could be soothing. Ice cream's always soothing.
I don't even have any antacids. I used to keep antacids around, but I haven't bought antacids for years.
But see, you live in an urban area, so you could actually get it delivered to you via Instacart. You know about Instacart?
Not very.
Yeah, just go order from your local Kroger's or QFC or whatever the store is, and they'll bring you milk of magnesia, they'll bring you honey, they'll bring you ice cream, well, usually within hours or less. Oh, Amazon Fresh. You can go into Amazon Fresh and it'll be delivered in less than half a day.
I mean, I can Stop and Shop is only a 3-minute drive from me.
Yeah, but why bother? Is it worth saving $5, for you to get out of your car and go take 20, 30, 40 minutes to go get that thing?
Hi, Josh.
Gosh. So anyway, I'm saying if you're not feeling well, you can, get something that'll make you feel better and get it delivered to you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a good theory of what would make me feel better. Just the passage of time, probably.
Are you capable of taking 20 to 30-minute walks?
It's very cold out here today. It's like, how am I watching? Let me get the time thing.
Yeah, here it's been in the 30s lately.
I think it was
in the 33.
I think it was in the 20s overnight. I don't know what it is now. I guess I could go the other way.
It's hard to imagine. In less than 2 weeks, the days are going to start getting longer again.
Oh, yeah, but that's going to take forever to show up.
Actually, in approximately 2 weeks. Yeah.
What's the date? 6th, 7th?
Today's the 7th. Today is the 7th.
Happy December.
Yeah.
December. Oh yeah, and on the way home last night, my check emissions light came on, so I have a pretty good idea what it is, but I still have to take care of it.
What do you drive?
It's a 2012 Honda Civic four-door sedan. And I'm pretty sure it's the air boot hose. It's got a gash in it. And I put tape around the gash, but I think after a while it opens up again, and then I get air bleeding into the air boot hose. That typically triggers the emissions mixtures wrong. And then I try to. The thing was, is when they first found it, they didn't have one on hand. He just put tape around it. And then when that failed, I put more tape around it, and it's probably failed again. At some point, I got to go and say, okay, just go get a new air boot hose. It's a really hard one to. It's in a terrible position, very hard to get to.
Yeah.
No room to maneuver.
Anyway, Josh, it looks like you're not outside, but there was a section of ceiling there that looked very much like a section of my ceiling. So I was just curious, is that your house? Is that your place?
Yep. Yeah, I'm at my house. Just heading outside.
Mm-hmm. Well, the coffee maker's ready. I'll be on audio still, but I'm going to just go retrieve some coffee right now.
That's exactly what I just did.
I was just telling Sam, started this morning, I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm tired.
Yeah, I've been listening to the whole conversation from the get-go. Yeah. Just because I'm not on the camera, I'm listening.
Yeah. Well, we can't always be sure if you're tuned in or not. So I'm tired, foggy, and I got a stomach bug and runny nose.
I totally understand, Barry. No worries. I've been sick for a couple weeks now, so I got to sleep for the first time in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I'll probably end up napping this afternoon because I didn't sleep very well last night, if at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think Heiner was kind of out of it. I guess we're all out of
it. Yeah, at least the first three of us didn't get much sleep last night. I didn't either.
I guess the way of the world at this moment. Too much going on.
Oh, I tell you, the world politics is really in chaos. In so many countries, the governments are failing, collapsing. France, Romania, Turkey, South Korea, Ukraine, Russia, Canada, US, Mexico, South America, they're all tottering. Whole system's tottering.
Yeah. Is that the perception taught like it's fragile and about to just explode, or is it just evolution?
I think it's inevitable because the rule of law has an inherent mathematical flaw that's manifesting itself more and more frequently and dramatically, the more and more locales.
Can I try something on you guys? This is a little bit from left field.
Jiu-jitsu?
Barry. The what?
I was that message you sent about the video, the jitsu. I thought you were going to use jiu-jitsu on us.
Jitsi.
We can try that some.
I'm making a joke. I was making a joke. Go ahead, Sam. It was a bad joke.
So anyway, I'm referring to the fact that Barry, you decry the rule of law often. So I think I've got that message, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, how do we make a change? And I'm thinking, how about we try this, okay? And it could work stepwise fashion, and it's obviously got bugs to be ironed out here. But let's suppose the following. Today, most of us who are law-abiding and believe in contributing to society, we pay taxes, right? Some of us pay more, some of us pay less. But what if today, rather than taking, let's say I pay $10,000 in taxes, right? And the government, whatever that is, the dark cloud, they decide what to do with those $10,000. So $9,999 goes to the military, and then 50 cents goes towards, infrastructure, and 20 cents goes towards education or whatever. We don't know how they distribute these funds, right? Suppose at the first order, we take each of the cabinet departments in the government or whatever major function there is, Congress, Library of Congress, whatever. And we made those buckets. So I could take my $10,000 and then I could say I could put $10 here in this bucket called NIH. I'm going to take $30 and put it in that bucket called defense. I'm going to take $50 and put it in something called NIST. I'm going to take, $5 and put it in NASA. I'm going to take, $2,000 and put it in, highway infrastructure or high-speed internet, et cetera, et cetera. So if all 300 million citizens, or however many there are, pick and choose that way how they want to support social infrastructure and say, okay, government, here's your mandate. And you add it all up, and at the bottom, summary line, boom, there's your budget. Here's your objectives, use this budget, go achieve those objectives. And they could come up with, well, we're this much short, or hey, we don't need this much, we'll give this to some other, but we'll work out those other things. But at some point, if we had a bottoms up opt-in tax investment structure for our government and for our social institutions, that would get us towards a society which might actually work for the people. Now, obviously, that assumes that we want a government that works for the people. I know today that's controversial. It used to not be. Okay, but let's just take that scenario and let's work out the kinks. Maybe at the first implementation, you just have a dozen departments, maybe only the cabinet positions. And then the next time around, you go down one rung lower, and sort of give that more detailed structure. And then maybe the next time around, you go 2 levels deep, whatever, okay? And maybe there's some adjustment based on need. Maybe there's some adjustment based on, hey, it's July 7th, and we've collected 67% of our, requested budget. So now people know, hey, let's go backfill that remaining 33%. Or somebody could say, hey, we've already got 98%, so whatever you're planning on doing, why don't you go spend it on that department over there? So some kind of visibility, some kind of restructuring, some kind of adaptive budgeting, adaptive planning might get us a society which functions more for what the society wants. I know this is a dream. This is a unlikely scenario, but wouldn't that invert the stupidity that's happening right now and the massive waste? So if I were to say to Elon, hey, Elon, this is what will get us efficiency, okay? Maybe I'll go work for Department of Government Efficiency, who knows? Anyway, just wanted to float that idea past you guys.
I can give you an example where something like that applied at Bell Laboratories. The budget was divided among the centers and departments. And so each department was given a budget.
I know you're talking about the corporate model. I understand how it works in a corporate model. I'm talking about this for
I was going to tell you how it doesn't work.
Okay.
So the way it works is that, say the department got so many bucks for that year. Now, either that's exactly the right amount, it covers your necessary expenses for the mission or function of the department, or it's too much or too little. If it's too little, you can argue for more money. But if it's more than you needed, what happens is they don't give it away. They find a way to spend it anyway, because then otherwise they won't get it next year. So what happens is the ones that get more than they need never give it up. They just waste it.
Or they take what's on their backlog for the next FY and say, hey, we could actually do that this year. That would be the better way to implement that budget, right?
Well, they generally can't grow because of physical space in the building.
Oh, come on. Those are easy to overcome.
But anyhow, the point was that the way the money was apportioned in the departments and centers, they tried to have a sort of a self-regulating thing, and it just didn't work. There was this phenomenon of if you were lucky enough to get more than you needed, you never gave it up. You just wasted it.
I understand all that. Okay, so this is like line item veto, but in the opposite. This is like line item investment. And I understand you got to work all that gamification crap. Okay, but what also would be required in this model is some transparency, what I've been calling eventual transparency. It also requires people who actually believe that each of these institutions has a mission. and that they're in some sense accountable for delivering that objectives that the mission was chartered for, that the institution was chartered for. So a lot of these things do have to be worked out. But look at this. Rather than doing it once every year or 4 years, you could actually do this dynamically. You could actually have an update every single day. Here's what we accomplished this week, this month, this quarter, this year, this past 4 years, whatever. And you can just look at that trending, just like you're looking at the stock market, right? And so every day you get a new candle that you're looking at. Okay. Red, green, whatever you want to call it. Okay. A whole set of candles. And this way, then every citizen could say, okay, well, let me adjust my investment accordingly. Health seems to have a need because we just had a COVID issue. So maybe I have to divert some of my funds over there. Anyway, Josh.
Too much information.
I love the mental exercise. I just think that there's a place where things fork that you can never, I don't care how smart you are, I don't care how many systems you've set up, you never know when it's going to fork. It's just random.
What do you mean fork?
I'm saying your mission statement is this, the organization is this, the systems do this, but then there is that anomaly, the fly in the ointment, where it just something happens and all of a sudden someone sleeps with someone at a random party and they hatch out a plan while they're having sex at night and go, I know how we're going to take over the company and we're going to do this. And they go off the mission statement. I'm just saying there's some random anomalies that just happen that you can't account for.
Right. So people being people, this is why I think
people being people.
This is why I think eventual transparency is required. Okay. So if everybody's on the up and up, none of that has to be, brought to the forefront. But if somebody says, hey, you made this decision because you're kissing this guy's ass or you're sleeping with that person over there, now with eventual transparency, that can all come out and be, scrutinized.
If it's competitive culture, then you can't get transparency. If it's collaborative culture, you can. But we have in our country a competitive infrastructure value system.
Exactly.
Right.
And that
well said, Gary.
I get it.
Don't give away your secrets.
I get it. So that's why maybe this is a good way to use the domain that I have or used to have, the eighth continent whatever it is, .ai, .world, whatever. Okay, if I still have eighth continent, domain somewhere, it'd be interesting to set up like a virtual citizenship, a virtual economy, a virtual society using the eighth continent model, and try and play around with some of these protocols, which I know you prefer, versus rules. Right. And we could then say, okay, let's have eventual transparency. Let's have opt-in investment. Let's have mission-oriented guidance with transparency. And let's see where this all takes us. I think that's a good social experiment to conduct as I'm thinking aloud here. Over.
In the communities, the thing that takes the place of money is CPU computing resources, because you only have the computing resources of the entire system, and that has to be divvied up. And that turned out to be a problem on Micromeses. How do you make sure that people don't hog and overuse and waste the CPU processing cycles and memory cycles? And we never solved that problem. There are people who just would waste memory cycles or CPU cycles doing stupid things. We never found a way to regulate that.
No, never found a way also to create the abundance that I think Sam is going for with when you collaborate, when you communicate, when you keep things transparent, there's a certain amount of abundance that can happen from that system because it's open. It's literally unstoppable. It can go on gaining speed forever and there's no limit because there's nothing stopping it. There's no friction because there's the openness. There's a collaboratory, it's beautiful what you're saying, Sam. I get it. I'm just saying people are the friction in the machine. They're the fly in the ointment.
See, the place where it's worked, as you mentioned, which I've been tracking very, very closely since 40 years ago, is the open source movement, right? Arguably, this is the largest scale, most successful planetary-wide collaboration that has existed. Maybe there are others that I'm not familiar with, but from the products like Linux, like FreeOffice, like LibreOffice, like the TCP/IP stack, like all the other network protocols, all the RFCs, the 2000 protocols that have been established. Sorry, not protocols, but 2000 RFCs that have been proposed and are in effect. They have been guided not by a central authority, but by people working together collaboratively with a shared mission statement, with the desire to interoperate.
Yeah.
And that's how the internet works. That.
And
now,
here's
there is a proof point here with all of this development that in this domain, this model works. So I'm saying, let's take this model, let's apply it to other domains. And let's work on how we fix it so that it works in those other domains. And that is the proposal I'm putting on the table right here.
Look at the demographic who succeeded with that model. It's the geeks. And the geeks is a mindset which is like 5% of the total
That's
population.
Right. Less.
You try to export that to the other 95%. They're not geeks. And they won't be at home in that model.
Well, look at this. I'm not going to invite the entire world to the 8th continent.
You can have the geeks. The geeks will live in it just fine, which is what, 5% of the population?
Less.
Or whatever. Yeah. Single digits, anything.
But you guys got to understand that the world's not static. It's not going to always be 5%. The geeks will inherit the earth.
Well, when the other part dies off, when the other 95% kill themselves.
If there is a world to inherit.
I'm just saying that was a good pun right there. The geeks will inherit the earth. I thought that was pretty good, man.
Geek will inherit the earth.
Geeks are going to get killed
instead of the meek,
people.
The geeks. I thought that was a good.
You know
pun
why
right there.
The meek will kill the geeks? It's because the meek work for the powerful, and the powerful will say to the meek, "Hey, go kill those people over there."
Yeah, but the geeks will kill the powerful people. That's what's happening right now in real time. You can watch it.
It's a tension. I see it. In fact, I have a slight bit of optimism for entities like Anonymous. Okay, those are the geeks who are trying to do something about non-profit based activities. Okay, and they're actually going out there, doing things to websites for organizations that they don't respect. And however, even in 2011, I already knew very smart people were confirming for me that in this class struggle, the rich will take half or more of the society, call them the stupid meek, okay, and say, okay, this other group, they're your enemy. These scientists, these meteorologists, these climatologists, these journalists, they're evil. They're wrong. Go kill them. Go put them in jail. Okay? And that is what is happening. So yes, I do think that the only point of optimism is perhaps enough geeks will have enough influence and sway because they understand the technology infrastructure of society and can make the requisite changes, impacts. It's not clear that they can. But that's the scenario that's playing out in front of us right now.
Harder than I thought it might have been.
What'd you say?
It's harder than I thought it might have been. When I first came across these concepts of upgrading from rules to protocols and functions and models and systems, I thought, well, that's pretty obvious. Load it up and, basically vanished into the ether. Nobody picked it up and was sort of kind of left all alone with my thoughts, and the seed didn't take root, except in Geekland, where it was already present.
Yeah. Yeah, I experienced the same thing, Barry.
Where do you think I got the idea? Protocols and functions and models and systems. Geekland is the only place where it's actually being used. And if you take away, if you didn't have the geeks, it wouldn't exist at all.
Right. You need the people out there putting little signs on the infrastructure. The nerds are the ones going, what standard should we put on this sign? Should it be a square or green? And what symbol? And let's flow, the flow maps of all this stuff, all the yeah, the nerds are the ones that are trying to not just keep the system working, but are trying to better the system, are trying to make a better hammer, a better nail, a better this, a better that. It's important. I mean, you need everything. I just think people that sit and argue and point fingers and play victim, they're just so weak. I don't like weak, brittle people. They annoy me. People that want to actually do good in the most ethical Marcus Aurelius sense of the word good, um, I value because they actually have a desire, not just for the outer, but the inner world that is them. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for their families. They're doing it for their communities. And those people, I think, are worth building up. Those are the people in society that are peopling, that get things done, that are good people. And when those people go away because they're afraid to stand up because they'll get nailed down, that's the problem.
They're the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
But the fact they're unsung means that the 95% don't even know they exist.
But they do exist. I just here, I'll be done in
Oh,
one
yeah,
second,
there's no
Sam, I
question they
promise.
exist. What the 95% don't know is what would happen if they stopped existing.
Right. Well, because they don't see them.
Right.
They're under the infrastructure. They're the ones literally under the ground digging the sewage pipes.
Right.
Yep. They're not sexy. They're not in the forefront. They're not on the TV screen or the billboards. Go ahead, Sam.
So one thing that has definitely been felt by me hard in the last 30, 40 years is that anyone who wants to innovate, bring a new idea, hopefully a beneficial good idea to society, has to abandon their focus on that idea and acquire dozens of additional skills in order to get that new idea a chance to live. And the way I say this is, let's suppose I have a good idea for a new internet protocol. Okay, Barry. In 2005, I actually wrote up a resource sharing protocol. And let's say now I want to make this real. Now, the problem is in this society, I have to be good at PowerPoint. I have to be good at pitching to VCs. I have to be good at, let's say, hiring. I have to be good at people management. I have to be good at financial management and accounting. I have to be good at a bunch of things which I don't bleep and care about because all I care about is improving this protocol. So the problem is now either I have to get good at those things or I have to bring together a team that's all good at these things and now, spread the idea to all of these people here in order to make this thing real. Now, what if we inverted that? What if we had in this eighth continent people who said, we want to make all these good ideas come to life? And we'll take any good idea and all of us will jump on it and make it successful. I'm not going to leave it to the person who originated that idea to say, do I need an HR director? Do I need a janitor? Do I need a refrigerator? No, society should say, yeah, that's a good idea. I can see how it's going to benefit society. And I'll put in 30 minutes, 5 hours, $20, whatever it is to make that idea work because we are a community of impact. We believe in a better society and we believe in working together to create that rather than saying, oh, he's got a great idea. I'm going to change it slightly, make it idea prime because now it's going to be mine and I'm going to outcompete that person. I'm going to get there sooner. I'm going to be the first person mover. I'm going to hire the best financial people from that person so he doesn't have it and I've got it. And I'm going to compete like this and then he's going to lose and I'm going to win. That's the society we have today. It's an ugly society.
There's one geek who I think is the most successful of all time. What are you
Keep going, Sam. No, keep going. He's passionate. Keep going, Sam.
Your rant's not over yet?
See, there isn't a moment for me to finish. You didn't wait for me to finish, and you immediately jumped in.
Sorry, I thought your rant was over.
How was I over? You spoke in less than like 10 milliseconds after I said something. So that's the Bohmian aspect that I think we actually lose, that we're actually not able to conduct here. Anyway, I
Hey,
think I lost
I
my train
listen,
of thought
Sam.
here.
No,
I'm
I'm
not.
right
I'm
there. We
not
can
talking
conduct
about you.
this.
I'm talking about the interruptions that
No, but it
I
takes
heard from
all of us
Barry.
to have a conversation. We're all having one. I mean, you have to understand when you're passionate about something, I was feeling what you're saying. Was grokking it. I was feeling what you're saying, competition, collaboration. I was with you on that. But then there's times where Barry's like, yeah, we've had that
I get
conversation
it.
like a
I get it.
thousand
I get it.
times.
You can
Yeah, I get
stop.
it.
I got it
Right.
already. I got it 10 minutes ago. You can stop
Exactly.
repeating it.
But here's the other effect, Barry. Okay, if I cannot complete the statement, then it cannot excise this section from the video and use it as a little 30-second soundbite because it's lost that flow. Simply because he's getting, yeah, shut up, I've heard it already. So the opportunity to use it as a soundbite or to repurpose it is gone. That's the loss that
Big
I
deal.
feel. It's not,
Nobody
Nah,
watches
hey,
these videos anyway.
Barry, why do you think that your message doesn't get out? You don't worry about, spreading these sound bites. You don't worry about later audiences
Because I don't want to make a pest of myself by repeating the same thing over and over again ad infinitum.
because you're not listening for the nuance. You're listening for just, oh yeah, I recognize those 5 words, so I've heard it already. So let's just move on to the next thing.
Well, I mean, if there's something new, it should be at the headline. It should be the headline, not the last thing.
Why don't you give it a chance and see if there's something new rather than interrupting?
Because it should have been the first thing. So the inverted pyramid model of first you give the headline, and then you give the next level, and then you give the details.
Yeah, that's if I wrote up a paper and had prepared for this, but I'm speaking
Same is true.
extemporaneously.
Same is true in spoken stuff.
it's different.
If you
Two different.
say the headline for the last sentence, nobody's
See,
going
Barry,
to get that.
wait, Barry. So I'm going to interject again because there was a request that we actually attempt some Bohmian interaction and that we would actually tolerate some moderation of it. Okay. So if you disagree with that, say so. But I'm pointing out that the interruption felt non-Bohmian. And
Well,
I
then
felt like I lost.
you're just talking
But see,
to the
you
ether.
interrupt
You're
here
not talking to
again,
me.
Barry. You just interrupted me
You're not
again.
talking to me.
I am talking to you.
No, you're not. I'm not listening. I stopped listening 5 minutes ago because
And just because you're not listening means you
no,
have to
because my
interrupt, Barry?
buffer was overflowing with the
Yeah,
same
and that
stuff
way that
over and
means you
over
have to
again.
interrupt. Every time my buffer overflows, I should just step in and say, Barry, shut
You
up.
can simply say you can stop talking because I'm not listening anymore.
Why? There's Josh in the room. Should he not be able to listen? Just simply because you're not listening?
If nobody's I don't know. If Josh wants you to go on, then I'll just go do something else. I'll go take a nap.
Josh was saying he was listening, okay? But the point is, it's extremely interesting to me that simply because you're not listening, you can
Time
say,
out.
shut up. No. I'm trying to make a point here. Okay,
He
that
wants you to
one
take a time
person
out.
in a
He's
room
not
of
listening
more
either. He's
than
doing
two
time out.
people, in a room of more than two people, one person can say, I'm not listening, therefore you should shut up. That is clearly not a scalable protocol, Barry. You
He's
of all
doing
people
time out
should know
too. Two
this.
people are doing time out.
No. That's not Bohemian. See, I have not finished my statement
But
and you're
nobody's listening
interrupting me.
anymore. We're both
You're
doing this.
interrupting me at every opportunity.
Control S, Control S, Control S, Control S.
Okay, this is on record now. This is definitely on record. This is going to be curious to see how the audience in the future views this
Control S,
particular moment.
Control
Because,
S.
Barry, I feel that simply because you lost interest, you're now saying the focus must shift to something else, even though there are other people in the room. That's what I'm hearing from you.
If you want to have
Okay,
a
I'm done.
monologue, you can have a monologue, and I'll go do something else. Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to take a second. I put the time out, just meaning, can we just take a good 30 seconds? Just clear the air for a second. That's what this meant.
Okay.
Just take a deep breath because I hear both of you guys. I hear what, and I'll just speak for 1 second. Is I hear what you're saying, Sam. This is a bigger
But
conversation
by the
than
way, you're
just.
not taking 30 seconds.
Yes, I just said that. I just said I'm going to speak for a moment and not take 30 seconds. Now I changed my mind. I'm going to take 30 seconds. I'm raising my hand to signal that I'm done with my 30 seconds.
The thing I was interrupting to say is, I have a notion of who the most successful geek of all time is. But I doubt either of you would recognize who I have in mind.
My mind's empty, so I have no preconceived notion of who you'd be thinking of.
There's
I
a
would
fabulous
posit Archimedes.
Not this person's still alive.
Are
Very
you
much
talking about
alive.
Elon?
No, absolutely not Elon. The antithesis of
Wow, people don't like Elon right now. He's not popular.
Elon's a butt fuck right now.
Yeah.
a very, very powerful, successful geek.
Are you talking about Gates?
Nope.
Well, Wozniak.
What was the question? Oh, Wozniak.
Oh, I said,
not Wozniak.
since we're playing the guessing
Wozniak
game,
has no power.
I think
His
he's got the
power
most power. He's
No,
my favorite.
his power got
geek of
taken
all.
away by Jobs.
Nah, he's so powerful. That's what gives him his power. He has no power. It makes him super powerful. He can teach
Linus
kindergarten.
Torvalds.
When Sam was listing all of the talents that he doesn't have that he would need to have, this person has all those talents and then some.
Oh, this is a fun game. 20 questions. Who is this guy?
It's not a guy.
Who is this girl? Who is this dog? Who is this parakeet?
Give you 30
Is
seconds. I'll give you 30 seconds to make 3 guesses.
3 guesses. Go ahead, Sam. I'm not playing the game. My mind's empty. I don't want to guess.
There's a person who manifests all of these things that Sam says you would need to be a very successful geek. I know one person who has achieved that.
That wasn't my point. My point is not looking for one person who has all that.
But
My
that's
point
that's your
is that
role model.
society. No. That is not my role model. That is entirely not my role model. My role model is a
That's why you're not
society
succeeding.
that provides that to an innovator, not one single supermensch or superwoman that has all that. That's not a scalable
All right,
model.
then I'm not going to tell you who I have in mind. I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah,
Hey, that's not
that's
fair.
not the model.
Wait, I
You're
want to
not
know.
interested, so I'm not going to tell you.
I'm interested.
Sam's not.
Okay, just because I'm not interested in you, not going to say simply because Josh was interested. See, this is not a good model, Barry.
I'll have a private conversation with Josh when you're not around.
Okay. But this is a group conversation right now. And you seem to think that your opinion can sway whatever the group focuses on.
It's an illustration of what you are dreaming of.
Can I ask you a question? Because to me, this is pretty obvious, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. That's not my goal here. That's not why I'm coming on here. But I heard you, Sam, say I'm speaking not just to you guys on this call, but I'm speaking to the future because I'm recording this call. And that to me was pretty obvious. And that's always been obvious ever since I met you, ever since we got on these calls, is we're not just speaking to each other, we're speaking to future generations, which is why I recommended at least 30 times that we start a trust. We put these things into a mission statement, make some framework around this trust, put that up and let a charter actually evolve that trust and do it for 7 generations ahead. But at the same time, it's a conundrum because as we're speaking to the future, we're also, Barry said his stomach wasn't feeling well and he threw up a couple times and I said, I've been sick for 2 weeks and we also have to be in the present. So I'm saying the conundrum to me is how do you speak to the future and yet stay in the present and practice Bohemian dialogue? I don't even know if that's possible. Those 3 protocols don't mesh.
Mutually
It
exclusive.
is entirely possible.
Okay, tell us how to do it and maybe we can do it.
I'm not sure Barry wants to hear me say.
Without
'Cause
ego,
Barry-
too. Can we do this without an ego?
I'm doing this without ego. I'm doing this for the merit of the idea.
So don't worry if Barry can handle it. I'm sure he can handle it. We've talked for years.
Well, I have to speak through Barry if he's going to be intervening.
No, you don't. You're speaking to the future.
I'll be happy to get off the call. Then you two can have your.
See, Barry, how is that a workable protocol? I'm speaking as a systems thinker to a systems thinker. How is that a workable protocol, Barry?
Because you're overloading me. I'm logy. I'm tired of logy, and I don't have the processing capacity to attend.
Yeah, but you've been in many meetings where that's happened. Do you immediately interject and say, I'm, going to switch the topic now for this room of people
I
simply
wasn't
because I don't
switching the
feel like
topic.
I'm
I wasn't switching
processing?
the topic. I was responding to your dream. So I give you an example of somebody who has realized your dream in spades. And it's not Elon, and it's not Gates, and and it's not Wozniak. It's not even a
Is it
guy.
Mackenzie Scott?
Who's Mackenzie Scott?
Maybe not.
All right, let's move forward. If you don't mind, Barry, I'm curious, who is it? Maybe this will move the conversation forward because I'd love to know.
Taylor Swift.
Nice.
She's good. I like her.
She has put all the geek skills and then some together fabulously. And you don't even think of her as a geek, but she is a geek. She's a fabulously successful geek. Very entertaining.
May I ask a question? So let's go back to the innovator example that I was speaking about. Let's say I have a good idea that I would like to introduce a resource protocol to the internet. How do I get that set of skills embodied by Taylor Swift, as you indicate? How do I get her and those skills to benefit me and this idea in this society?
You don't have to. It's already being done. You don't have to get them to benefit you. You just have to observe somebody who's already done it.
Good point.
They're your role model. And other people are trying to do the same thing. She has set the new high bar, and all the other people who have the potential are trying to see, can I emulate that mechanism? Put together all those geek skills plus talent and creativity.
She's the new Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael had a fan base, but he didn't know how to control and communicate to it because he wasn't nerdy enough to figure out that system.
He had other unresolved issues.
Well, he also had people controlling him. He wasn't in control as much as Taylor Swift is.
She is a fabulous geek. Look at all the skills that she puts together and how fabulously she does it. And other people are trying to learn how to do the same thing by following her model. She's setting the model.
Well, there were people that came before her. Amanda Palmer set the model, I would say. Is it Amanda Palmer? I'm trying to remember the lady's name. One of the first really successful build their own fan base on the internet in the 90s. Amanda, I can't remember her last name, but anyway, there's a lot of people that came before the Taylor Swift model. And Taylor Swift also isn't. The other thing that's interesting is when you have a person ahead of a movement, the fate like the Greta Thunbergs of the world, they're the face, but they're not the movement. There's people behind those people. Very intelligent systems thinking people behind those people. Managers, writers, CFOs, CEOs type of people, systems thinkers.
What's interesting about Taylor Swift is she's not talking about her model, she's doing her model. She's enacting her model.
So my question that I posed was, how does an innovator benefit from a society where those skills do exist in other people so that good ideas can come to fruition? And I still don't see in your response how that happens in a scalable way.
It's not scalable.
That was my point.
Maybe a dozen people can emulate it and be in the league, that same league. Or maybe a few dozen people can be in that same league. But that's world class, and not everybody can be world class.
Josh?
I think what I'm hearing Barry say, since you're so good, Sam, at talking to the future and very clear with your thinking and what you need is entertain, edutain, educate, get out there, get on the lecture circuit. You're amazing, Sam. I've known you for over 5 years. I think you would be an incredible speaker and modeler of a scalable symposium type of forum that you could start annually, biannually, monthly, weekly. In other words, start a thing where once a year you go to this place and you put all the speakers, you put the panel together, and you be the keynote speaker.
Like the TED Talks, Sam
I
Talks.
appreciate the thought.
Yeah, I'm just saying Barry's right though, but if you actually do that and continue to do that, you could blink your eyes 5 years from now and there could be Sam Talks all over the world, scalable. That's how TED Talk did it in Monterey.
So I do appreciate that. I do still think that is not central to the question that I was asking. In other words, what I was asking, and I'll get back to your point, Josh. The question I was asking is how does J random innovator, okay, with a provably good idea, but insufficient resources, insufficient skill set, insufficient time, insufficient access, all of those things, insufficient money, get that support in a society that wants to see good ideas come to fruition rather than, well, let's see, there's a good idea. Let me go set up that other good idea and let me have them compete. And then I'll go for the cheaper one because that benefits me. See, that's the society we have today. And so one of those innovators is going to lose. Probably n innovators are going to lose, and only one's going to win because, there's always first mover and 50%, basically takes the entire market. And that's the cost of society today. That we take n innovators on one good idea or one variation, variations of one good idea, and we make all of those, n minus one people lose so that this one person and that empire that they build can win. While in the meantime, all of those other people were sincerely interested in implementing something that was for the social benefit as well. That's, to me, what doesn't scale. Over.
If you're a very good innovator and you win by having somebody who's better at it than you be better at it than you and become the dominant performer in that paradigm. And then somebody will be the one who succeeds them. The innovator is never the one who is the winner. They plant the seed and then the seed grows and somebody, I would be happy if somebody could do what I did, but a whole lot better than I ever did it. Then I would have won.
That's it. And that's taking your ego out of it. And also, if you're the one that put in 100% or 99% of the effort and one person comes along, they put in 1% of the effort and they're the winner. If you can drop your ego and go, you know what? I did all the work. They took all my work and all my idea and they twisted one little thing and everyone says, hey, they're the inventor. They're the one that did it all. And if you can let your ego go and say, yeah, okay, cool.
I tell people, if anything I did as a value, steal it. I tell them, emulate it and do a better job. Then I win.
It's a hard thing to run your life at that level is something where you really want progress. It's a true progressive to do it that way, I think.
I don't want to take it to my grave.
Yeah.
I'm close enough to my grave to know what that really means.
Go ahead, Sam.
That's a model that would work so long as all the innovators don't have to worry about survival. They don't have to be worried about being on the street. No, wait. I'm not done.
Good. Finish.
Right now, if you've got somebody from, let's say, the slums of India with a good idea, that person is still trying to eke out a living. So they want to make sure that they can get the sales or the profits or whatever so that they don't have to live in a slum. They could maybe move into a flat. But if everybody had their food security, warmth security about, relationships and society and health and all that, absolutely, you could remove ego from that. I would do it in a heartbeat. But so long as people are still trying to eke out a living, you can't say, oh, take your ego out of it. They still have to worry about their family. They still have to worry about themselves. They still have to worry about, in a capitalist society, winning, which means getting a little bit more money, maybe even a lot more money. But a little bit more money would still help. That's the problem with saying, get rid of ego. It works if you're already taken care of. It doesn't work so long as your survival is still at risk. Over.
Socrates didn't survive. He drank the damn hemlock.
Yeah, I feel like you're trying to skate both issues. You want collaboration and you want fairness and justice and you want everyone to succeed, but then you also want to get ahead and be above and be a capitalist. Like you're
No,
fighting those two things.
no, I'm
Which
saying
one?
in
Pick a
capitalism,
pick a fucking lane, man. Which lane do you
I
want?
did. You didn't hear it.
I didn't hear you pick the lane. I heard you say, if you want this, this
My
will
whole
work.
example, and I'm interrupting here, my whole example was the lane. I started by picking the lane.
Which lane is it? Be very clear and
I don't know
decisive. Tell
which
me the
lane
lane.
it
Is
is.
it
Imagine the
capitalist or collaborative?
society where an innovator could get the support they needed without having to acquire 99 additional other skills, 98 of which they're already bad at, which dilutes the effort an innovator could put into the good idea. That's the lane I was picking.
You know? And I picked the role model lane, which is a different lane.
And I picked the role model lane too.
I would rather be a role model who dies young, but what I introduced doesn't die. I'm going to die anyway, eventually.
Okay, so let me ask this. How does the role model, which I still don't understand, how does that scale?
It scales because somebody imitates the role model.
How many imitators of Taylor Swift are successful?
I would
A
say
lot.
Beyonce is an imitator. I don't know if I could give them all their names but there's a bunch of them. Beyonce, I think, is the next one in line after Taylor Swift, and then you could probably name the next 3 or 4 in line after them.
I don't know them very well. Is she an imitator of Taylor
Maybe
Swift?
Lady Gaga. I don't know. She's sort of passé now, I think. But I think Beyonce is the next one who is running second to Taylor Swift in that model. She's adopting that same model.
So, so if we're talking about the same thing, you're talking about the head of a popular movement or pop culture. Is that what you're talking about, Barry? When you say Taylor Swift, do you mean someone who has a power of a fan base of people that are watching her every move?
Somebody who's very successful at using all the geek skills, including the skills that we don't normally think of as geek skills.
But what are you defining as success? Is it the money? Is it the power? Is it the influence?
Putting
Is
the
it the
whole picture
communication?
together, putting the whole picture together at a world-class level.
A world class. Okay, right. Globally too, not just nationally, but
Yeah,
globally.
not just locally, you know.
Right.
She's a world-class emulator, instigator, what's the word? Modeler of that model.
Yeah. Sam's taking a bio break.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And,
I
and and Beyonce is, I think, running a close second. And if you maybe read the literature, you can find out who the next 3 or 4 down the line are.
yeah. I find a lot of people what I'm hearing, and this is just my own lens, and it's probably my own perception, and I'm not even accurate at all. But when you want to collaborate at a global level, and then you also want to compete in a capitalistic society and win, it's like the two are in conflict. It's kind of it's like playing a major sports game and saying, like, I have this conflict all the time. I'll be watching a sports game and I want my team to win, but then I see my team not trying very hard. And I kind of want the other team to beat my team in order to make my team better for the next competition. That's
But
so
you
in other
also
words,
want good
yeah,
content. If your team is so good that they're totally dominating the field, then there's nothing worth watching because there's no content.
that's what happened the other day. I'm watching the game and my team is dominating so much to the point where it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my gosh, this is not fun. It's like watching adults play children in a sport. It's not fun.
I mean, the dominant team, what is it? The Harlem Globetrotters needs the other team to play against, or there's no game.
Well, that's the way I felt about this last election cycle. Is it's like those two teams that were playing, they just weren't. Not only were they not equally matched, they weren't even playing the same game. They were playing two, like one is playing, let's help everybody out. The other's playing, let's destroy everybody. It just wasn't even, it was just stupid. I don't know. I'm sorry. There's just some things that are asinine. And
Yeah.
for people to sit and watch like marble, like, do you remember during the COVID time, there was this huge movement of marbles? People were watching on the internet, marbles just rolling down a thing. It was so stupid. Like, I'm just saying the amount of stupidity that's been going on over the last 20 years Like with social media, it's just been so fucking stupid. No offense to Taylor Swift, but I mean, her music is not Mozart. It's not the highest caliber of music. It's good, it's okay, but it's not Michael Jackson good. It's not.
By the way, there's a new album out by um, who's the musician? John. He was
uh,
on one of the Tonight shows.
John Baptiste.
John Baptiste's got a new where he takes Mozart, and not he's Mozart or Beethoven, I think Beethoven, and he
Oh.
adapts it into jazz motif and other modern motifs. And it's a new
Yeah.
album put out.
Well, I'm getting excited. The jazz movement is coming. I'm a jazz guy. I'm a freestyle rapper, but I rap in a jazz style, a very
Yeah,
improvised style.
yeah,
And that jazz movement is starting to make a comeback because of this lady. I forgot her name, this Asian lady. She made this jazz thing that's getting popular with the younger kids. And now I'm noticing freestyle jazz hip hop is starting to come back. And now and John Baptiste was, he had the torch passed from Wynton Marsalis, who had the torch passed to him from the
yeah.
great jazz
And they're
artists.
emulating innovation.
Yeah, and it's fun that jazz is actually starting to come back. I've been waiting since the 90s. This is the last time it had a resurgence in pop culture.
So
So it's,
so so in a niche of just music, just plain music, you've got John Baptiste and the guy who did the score for all those famous movies, forget his name. And when Mark, you have all these people who were emulating each other's successful practices and maybe one-upping them and maybe not. But the point was is that there were more than one person doing world-class creativity in some niche.
yeah, well, that's what I think has been missing for a while is the ability to fail where you're not breaking the system.
Feel better.
Fail better, fail harder,
Yeah,
like
feel better.
Yates says.
Yeah.
Fail
But
forward.
I'm fail forward, yeah. And the ability not just to fail forward, but to celebrate failing forward. That's what I think has been missing for a while is when you fail forward, people go, see, told you, bitch. Told you you're gonna fail. You should have copied the thing that I told you was gonna work.
Yeah.
No, but you wanted to be innovative. Ooh, you wanted to go on your own. You thought you knew better. Well, you didn't.
Break dancing
Groupthink.
is another one. I don't know who innovated break dancing.
I can tell you who innovated it. It was people from Brazil mixing with people from all over the world in New York. So
Yeah.
salsa dancers, African dancers, and these Brazilian capoeira dancers. All I can show you the videos. I hung out with these actual people.
And now it's an
They
Olympic sport.
well, not only is it Olympic sport, but I'm saying they had to meet together and say, okay, this is my move. How do you iterate on this move?
Yeah. Yeah. Do that move, but do it better than I did.
Twist your wrist to the left, put all your weight on it, and see if you break yourself. That's why it's called breakdancing. I'm not kidding. I used to be a breakdancer. It's fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
Like to get all your weight on your head and then spin your body.
But those are examples of people who are geeks in their little niche, but they're somehow
Yeah.
creating movement, and everybody is copying the best of the best, and world class are emerging as world class. And there's a lot.
But there's one thing that you missed, Barry, that came out of that movement. And I think the most important thing, and this is what I'm screaming to the hills on, and I find people are scared of it. It's competition. We battled each other in the dance moves. It was a battle of
I
who's the
know.
best.
Yeah.
That's what makes talent and innovation work is you've got to iterate faster. You got to fail faster. You got to have more competition to get to the best of the best of the best.
Sport. A sport means that you invite your competition to do it
Yes.
better than you.
Yes. That's what's missing is that
And
people are
that's
not
where
inviting the
that's where
competition.
you say, never mind my ego, bring on my best competition and let them beat
Yes. Yes. That's
me.
what that's what I
If they beat me, then I will have learned something from them that I didn't already know.
and then vice versa, the person that beat them goes, hey, it made me have to try even hard because I didn't even think I could beat them. I thought they were better than me. And it makes them better, and everyone brings each other up. To me, I think competition is so good if you can enjoy the getting better. If
Right.
it's not, yeah, if it's how do you put that into can
Yeah.
someone say that in a soundbite that goes to the
Right.
future?
It doesn't mean that in order for me to win, everybody else has to lose. No, that's bad
Right.
thinking. In order for me to win, everybody else has to win too.
I
My
think I
rivals have to win.
Yeah, I love to lose. I love it when someone takes my job
And
because
get
you know what that means? That means I got to go find another job, which means I get to innovate again, which is fun.
right.
That's why I told everyone that ever worked for me, every like from a person that, didn't an unpaid intern to my assistant, anyone that ever worked for me, I told them, please do my job better than me and take my job.
Or you can become a teacher of that occupation and say, find the next up and comer and coach them to equal or exceed the one who beat you.
I think that's the goal with people that really want to make the organization better
Exactly.
because it's not about me. The organization benefits from that.
Right. So you give up being the best and become the teacher, the coach of the next best. You've
Well,
got
no,
to,
I'm still the best. They're not taking my job. I'm fucking good at what I do. Like, I'd like to see them do it. I'm not saying they can, but I'd like to see them do it. I encourage them to try. Still have
hey,
an ego. It's not like
well,
I'm
it's hard to get rid of
egoless.
it is hard to get rid of your ego.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but I think there's healthy ego and then there's unhealthy ego.
Well, there's narcissism, which is unhealthy, generally speaking.
Yeah. I think the healthy ego wants competition. The unhealthy ego says, oh, yeah, you'll never beat me because I'll never compete against you. They're liars. They'll never actually fairly have a fair competition.
I think there is too much narcissism in our culture, and too much narcissistic, or people who are offended by being narcissistically wounded. Whereas if you're really good at something and you want more people to do it, then you want them to beat you. And you don't take that as a narcissistic wound. You take that as good. Now I'm not alone at the,
Yeah.
king of the mountain. Now you have a community of people who are
But
vying to be better than anybody has been so far.
before we end the call, I know we're getting to the top of the hour. I think are we already at the top of the hour? I didn't see the time. Yeah. So I was just going to say, I heard you talk about Sabine Hassenfeder,
Yeah,
or am I pronouncing her name wrong? I don't know
awesome
how do you.
film. Awesome film.
Hassenfelder. I'm saying her bucking the system a couple years ago at the World Science Foundation or whatever that was, where she went against the string theorist and said, "Show me what you've done." Was that 2 years ago or 3 years ago? When was
I don't
this?
know, but the string theorist is basically ground to a halt. It's just
Well, I'm just saying, you saw Leonard Susskind recently. It's pretty exciting in the world of theoretical physics right now, where they're saying someone has to actually innovate that field because it's been stagnant for too long.
yeah. I mean, there is um, a breakthrough that hasn't happened yet that needs to happen, and we don't know what the breakthrough is. Otherwise, we would make it happen.
Well, there's a lot of young, up and coming theoretical thinkers that are not necessarily the breakthrough, but they're on the cusp. If you put all of those guys in a room or a symposium or at a SAM talk somewhere, maybe in Palo Alto,
Solving, even
I
new
think they could
solving.
figure it out. Yeah, put them at a SAM talk. Let them figure it out. Get 100 of those people in a room and yeah, put five of the top of the 100 up on a panel and have the latest version of Anthropic or Claude or Chat GPT ask them the questions. Like have them go at the O1 preview. What is it? You guys saw that they actually launched. It's not in beta anymore. The new chat models for Chat GPT.
Oh, one.
Yeah, O1 is out, and the little thinking model and the scientific model, and
Well,
they're three little models.
they need to get model-based reasoning into the mix. And right now, the language models don't do model-based reasoning.
They're trying.
Well, AI is trying, but large language models are functionally incapable of doing
But they're
semantic processing.
incapable. But if you add another agential, what's the word I'm looking for when you had three more systems to the mix? where you say, okay, now take what you did, search the entire internet to find what you just said, read the screen. So multimodal actually
Yeah.
don't just,
I
yeah,
mean,
read the screen in real time and then think about what you just told me and then see if you're right again.
yeah, you need the languages of mathematics. The spoken languages, language of words, is too weak to do math. But that's not a new observation. That's what we invented math, because you can't do math in uh, and the fact that word problems are so hard to map into the math, so you can do the math and then answer back in a word answer, that's really hard to do. And the LLMs can't even do word problems where they can't map the word problem into the correct mathematical structure and then do the math in the language of mathematics. They don't do the math.
But they're learning to know what they don't know, is what I'm trying to say. Is in those systems, when they're hallucinating, they're learning that they're incorrect, which means that they can
Yeah,
transform and
I have
become
to say,
correct.
I don't have a model for analyzing that because I don't have the method. I mean, Einstein said the same thing. I don't have the math to do the analysis of
Right. But I'm
non
saying when
curve.
language models are programmed to say, I don't know, let me go find out, I'll get back to you on that.
Right.
That's to me is
Einstein
when we get to AGI.
Einstein went to Grossman and said, Grossman, teach me the math that I don't know because I only know the math for linear systems and I need a curved geometry.
Yep.
Teach me the mathematics of curved geometry. And Grossman did.
And there will be AI models that just focus on that one thing, not everything, that one mathematical situation. Or you say a Grossman model or
Yeah,
finding these
non-Euclidean.
geometries.
He needed
Yeah.
the math of non-Euclidean geometry.
But I'm just saying, who's building, like, besides Stephen Wolfram, who's building the quintessential mathematical geometry language model?
I don't know if anybody is. Maybe,
I'm sure there's a lot of people doing it right now. There's
or
billions
maybe
of
people
dollars in
people
this
who are trying
industry.
to emulate. Maybe people who are trying to pick up where Wolfram hasn't quite succeeded,
Yeah.
or
But
try to out Wolfram. Right?
but I'm saying if you that's the one thing is just because you didn't hear about it doesn't mean someone's not sitting right now in their office doing it.
I'm sure there are people. People know that mathematical modeling is the next great frontier. That's not a secret.
Yeah, Michael Levin's partner Joshua Bergen, I think his name is. I'm just saying there's guys that you don't know about that are doing it right now as we speak,
Well,
working on this stuff at different
maybe I'll
not
live long enough to see math modeling become the next incremental gain in AI. Maybe.
I just listened to a talk last night that was so innovative and so progressive that it's, beyond most people's understanding. But it's that gauge theory of the entire model of the universe being mathematically introduced, starting with think of the ancient middle ages idea of as above, so below, that whole idea that the harmony of the spheres, that thinking is starting to come into play. But back then, they didn't have enough information to model
Yeah,
all the models against each other, gauge
yeah,
theory.
yeah,
Yeah,
fractal models, but the same model applies at all scales.
exactly. But that mathematically, there is a primer that has yet to be created, but now can be created with these type of large thinking machines, that computation machines we're building.
Right.
Like it's exciting to me to have a primer between all the models that we've ever written down in the history of humankind. That's pretty fucking exciting.
And when we get to mathematical modeling, then we'll get to artificial wisdom, because that's the fruit of mathematical modeling is wisdom.
And I think to me, the if you take that fruit and you eat it and digest it and poop it out, that is nature. Like, because the wisdom, if you, that's why I'm a Taoist, that you want the most wisest thing ever, just sit in your fucking backyard and look down at the ground and you'll see it. It's right there. Literally, like I'm just saying, like you can go, I don't care where you are in the world, sit in one spot for 24 hours and look around you and you'll see nature. It'll come to you.
Did you see what Sam Chan posted in chat in Messenger today?
What did
He
he post?
he posted a video of mama birds in the nest making their wings be an umbrella to shield the chicks from the rain. And he had many different species all in the same pose. where the parent had made an umbrella out of their wings to protect, and they're all rainy nest shots.
Nice.
It's a really nice little vignette. And so here are birds inventing umbrellas. And there was another story just yesterday on a particular spider that makes a web, but the web doesn't catch the fly by flying into the web. The web is basically under tension, and when the fly gets near the web, the spider triggers it and it shoots out the web and so the web catches the fly. The fly doesn't get caught in the web moves.
I want to see this. I've never even heard of that. That sounds
There's
so
one
cool.
species that they found, and it was a story that was just discussed yesterday on one of the public radio.
You know what's really interesting is you don't think about this, but there's I think 10,000 species of bees. We only think of the honeybee. That's only one species.
The African bees, killer
But
bees.
I'm saying that's only one species of bee. There's thousands of little iterations of bees. And that's not including the wasps and the other type of creature. I'm just saying that the amount of diversity and complexity of nature, it's awesome.
So yeah, well, McCready, who did the Gossamer Condor, he studied bird soaring and basically built a machine that emulated how birds soar.
Yeah.
He did that while he was on vacation in New Mexico. He was a aeroframe engineer in Los Angeles, and he was on holiday in New Mexico, and he was watching the birds soaring and got his insight.
Well, I don't know if this came on your radar, but if you looked at the Tesla company last week, their stock went up quite a bit. Like after this has nothing to do with Trump or politics. They solved the full self-driving stack. They released their latest iteration, which was version 13. They went from version 12.5.6 to 13.2,
Mhm.
and it's blowing everybody away.
Well, no, I
It's
haven't seen those headlines.
it's 500% improvement, so 5 times better.
Yep. Well, that's what
And
you need. Not just epsilon better, but significantly
yeah.
better, multiple better.
But that multiple better means that inside of the actual software itself, it has 800 choices to make in so many milliseconds, and it's making choices that aren't perfect yet, but it has the ability to make some pretty decent choices in real time. And that, to me, that technology applied to the entire world. If you've got sorting machines, if you've got not just cars that drive themselves, but if you've got conveyor belts in engineering inside of manufacturing plants that can make those decisions in real time for quality control, that's going to be a game changer in terms of how we make water bottles, in terms of how we make recycling machines. I mean, everything is going to get exponentially 500 times improvement every 2 weeks. It'll iterate because of these systems that we're putting in place.
There's your geeks, you know,
I'm a geek.
paving the way.
That's what I'm saying is I feel like the geeks shall inherit the earth is it's already happened, and it's that robot future that was in sci-fi for so many years is literally 2 years away. 2 years from now, Barry, you will look out your window and say, "What the fuck is that?" I mean, do you guys have those robots that they have in LA, those little square boxes that deliver stuff?
Yeah,
They're all over in California, they're all over the place.
yeah. At least I haven't seen them. I don't think
Okay. Well, in Los Angeles and San Francisco and I think in San Diego, I've seen them. They're just little robots just running around the sidewalks delivering shit.
we don't have enough sidewalks here in the suburbs where I live. There's
Gotcha.
a lot of places where they don't have sidewalks.
Yep. Well, I feel like the biggest breakthrough in the multimodal AI space happened this last week. And the public will be seeing it. It'll be all over the news. And about 3 weeks from now, you'll be seeing all these examples.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
Sabina will do an episode on it.
Yeah. I wish I could experience it with you guys. I was just in a parking lot a month ago with Aya crying, and then the sun was in our eyes and we couldn't see anything, and she's crying. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. I need the car to just come and get me. I can't walk through this busy Costco parking lot. And I pressed the button on my phone, and the fucking car drove across the parking lot in a busy, like a busy, busy parking lot, and came to us.
Oh, cool.
And I was just like, I can't believe it didn't hit those old people right there, because it was falling behind this nice elderly couple.
Yeah.
And it didn't, it went right nice and slow. It was slowly going about 2 miles an hour, didn't hit anybody. It's
That's the
amazing.
problem is when a nearby vehicle is blocking your view in some direction and you can't tell if there's something coming, it's going to cross your path. Well, when I come to a T intersection and I'm going to make a left and the big van is edging around the corner, so I can't see the oncoming traffic. So I have to wait until he's done before I can see if it's clear to go.
Yeah.
And AIs have to do the same thing. If they can't see, they have to wait until they get a clear shot of
And
oncoming
to
traffic.
the only thing my mind is thinking of right now is photogrammetry, and how do you take the photons of light and communicate that in a way that you get good signals and noise. And that's all that I'm doing. I just got my drone to do what's called waypoints. Are you familiar with this, Barry?
No.
It's asking a drone to take pictures at very specific intervals and quantize that information and pull back the light photons that you get from those pictures into one collaborative image,
No.
and then do the analyzation of not one single image, but the entire
Make the movie.
stack. Yeah, we'll make the movie in 3D. You're taking 2D images and turning them into 3D.
Right. Yeah. Make a
So
3D dynamic 3D model.
that's what these cars are doing, is they're taking a picture from three angles and using the that parallax effect to actually get the movement and speed of the car coming down around the corner. In other words, they're seeing around corners.
Okay.
Like they're in other words, they're seeing the shadow of the car coming around the corner, and they're watching the speed of that shadow, and then inferring that shadow's coming from a truck, it's coming from a bicycle, it's coming from a human. And that's how they inference that's a human coming around the corner. It's pretty fascinating how these systems work. It's worth studying.
Well, I'll be happy when I don't have to drive anymore because at my age, I'm very leery of driving at night in the rain.
Yeah. Well, if you can either save money, ask for the money, I don't know how it works, but supposedly these taxis are supposed to cost between 30 and $40,000, and they you can either own them or you can rent them out. And the new Tesla cars you can lease now for $300 a month. A just your average little cheap Model 3 or Cyber cab type Tesla.
I don't drive enough to make it worth my while.
Yeah, but I'm saying you just get on the app and you can call any of those from your neighbors. All your neighbors will own them.
Yeah, maybe. My neighbors are, I live in a sort of a retirement age kind
No,
of.
I guarantee I'm from your area, Barry. I know people in Newton. I know people in Cambridge, Watertown, that area. They all have Teslas out there.
I don't think anybody in my condo has a Tesla.
You'd be surprised. I bet they do.
Well, I think I would have seen it. It's only 54 units in this condo. If there is a
Are there garages in the condo?
Yeah, every unit has a garage.
Yeah, they're inside their garages.
Well, yeah, but I still see people drive up and down the roads in and out.
Yeah, but you don't see everything. You're not all
I'm
knowing.
not watching all the time, no, but I've
Yeah.
been here for 35 years, so.
Okay, I'm just saying they're quite prolific at this point, meaning there's a lot of, just like solar panels. If you go up on the Google Earth and you look at Massachusetts, you wouldn't think there'd be as many solar panels on the roof as there are.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's quite the movement is what I'm saying. It doesn't you don't see it because you're on the ground, but if you look up at warehouses and residential homes, you'll see a lot more solar panels than like I was in Hawaii. I was staying at this, it felt like an old kind of crappy apartment building, but it was a condo. And then I looked on the Google Earth down, and the whole entire thing had solar panels on the top. I had no idea. I couldn't see it from the ground.
Yeah, that's tall enough you can, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you could look in everyone's garages, there's a lot of interesting stuff. That's my dream when Sam talks about open source and open sourcing the world and blah blah blah. I just hope that all the suburbs of America open up their garages and we all look through each other's garages and clean them all out together so we can make room for all the new innovation that's coming in the garages.
Got a lot of junk in my garage and basement.
I
That's
think we
full
all do. I think we got junk in our brains too. We got to open up our brain garages
too,
and
yeah.
empty out the old Encyclopedia Britannica information from 1972 because that doesn't apply anymore. It's 2020. What is it? 25 now. It's going to be. We got a few weeks.
We got 2 weeks, I think. 3 weeks. This
Yeah,
is 3 weeks.
I'm just saying that the new model of reality might not look like anything we've ever had. Meaning the entire economic global economic system is literally collapsing.
It is.
Like for real, I think that scares the shit out of people. Like the idea that their bank account, they can go there and there's no money in their bank account. That's so scary.
Well, sir, it's almost 1:30 here in the afternoon.
You have Zantac. What are you taking, Barry, for your stomach?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I hope it calms down your tummy.
Well, maybe if I nap a little bit this afternoon, then it'll settle down. We'll see.
Yep. And please enjoy all the new. Do you have a, paid account at ChatGPT or is it the free account?
I think that expired.
All right. Well, I hope one day if we keep this GCC thing going long enough, we raise some money to get a pro account for us. Not for me, not for you, not for Sam, not for anyone else, Heiner, the rest of the group, but for the organization itself. So we can just come on these calls and say, hi, Chat GPT or whatever. What was it has a memory, it knows everything. And we can say, what were we arguing about last Saturday? And it goes, don't worry about that. You're way past that. You're going to practice Bohemian dialogue today.
Yeah. Can't remember what we did 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Neither can I. And I'm getting older like you guys. I'm about to be an old person. So I want to get ready for that when I'm 87. I want to be ready.
So see you either tomorrow or next Saturday.
Sounds good, Barry. Hope you get some rest and feel better.
Thanks.
If you're still here, Sam, are you still here? Dark Gord? Let me know if you want to do a symposium thing, Sam. I think Sam Chan would be willing to help too.
Okay, it's on the list.
Awesome. Cheers,
There
y'all.
will be a time.
All righty.